So this is something I kind of roundabout heard about, Kiko, and I don't know if I got a chance to really introduce this topic too much to you, but essentially Mars Toys released that Joker, the Romero Joker, right? It was the one, the 66 Joker, the one in the pink suit and the makeup and all that. And the first batch was supposedly really, really good. And then now there have been some buyers that have been getting the second batch in, and some people have been reporting issues like with the bodies, with posing, with things like that. And then Mars Toys eventually put out a statement saying like, hey, like we're going to do better. We heard you, so forth, right? So I can pull up that statement real quick, but essentially, yeah, they were just like, hey, we hear you and we are listening and we're going to do better with these with these releases and such like that. And I know for, there have been a few people that have posted things. I was only able to find one, so I actually want to share it real quick. I want to thank Brandon Salad for sending me this video of his showing the second batch of the Joker here. So you can hear the squeakiness, I think. And yeah, just kind of a lot of tipping. Look at the joints there.
Yeesh.
Yeah, so a little bit rough, right? Not exactly ideal. So I got to give kudos to Brandon. Thank you so much, bro, for sharing that with us. But again, I don't know this is indicative of the entire batch, but it's interesting that there are second batch issues, but the first batch was totally fine, and these issues were not there, not present, right? So super interesting to hear that. But yeah, I don't know. But Kiko, what do you make of this, man? What's the takeaway here? I mean, do we trust third parties any less because of these issues? I mean, what do you think?
It's a great question.
I mean, because we're always a little skeptical with third party anyway, right?
Yeah, but here's my thing is that I don't think anyone expected that Romero Joker to explode the way it did and the demand. And they said, shit, people really want this. Batch 2, here we go. How many are we going to make? Well, I don't know. We got any of those cheap bodies laying around? And I think they for real cut costs and then passed that on to the consumer, who then obviously bought it at the normal price. And now we're sitting there looking. And if they issued a statement and it's not just one figure, then they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, that they tried to half-ass a release. And I hope that that is a warning shot across the bow saying, hey, don't fuck around with your product when it comes to those things. We gave you a great look into something. That's really suspect to me if they made a statement about it because they know how shitty it was. That was a really interesting video with the squeaking and the broken arms, because it looks like that's a cost-cutting method and they tried to scam, and that's a really, really bad look. And so I know Mars has had a good track record recently, but that's not the greatest thing you want to see.
Yeah, it's not. And like, look, and I really trust Kit, 16 Kit. He said a lot of things about this, saying like the batch, it was like very little people providing, claims in terms of issues for batch 2. So overall, it just does seem to be a minor issue. But however, it is something worth noting that, there are reports out there, people experiencing issues with the second batch. So sometimes these can happen, manufacturing issues, maybe issues with the factories or whatever. I don't necessarily think that Mars Toys is like trying to rip anyone off or anything like that. I do think they seem to be a really good company and they do listen to people. So yeah, and Hot Toys sometimes pull some shit like this too. I mean, not with figures where in terms of the bodies themselves, but in terms of maybe a lack of weathering, or maybe the suit's a little bit different, or the color's a little bit different, or the head sculpt is different, something like that. So there are some changes, but from batch 1 to batch 2, you wouldn't really expect to see.
Well, that's my question, is that if obviously they are just going to reissue, their second batch or whatever it may be, why make an apology unless you know you did something wrong? That's my question, is that is what gives me some pause. And it'd be different. It'd be like, hey, we had some QC issues from our supply, whatever it may be. I think they got caught. And personally, I'm glad they addressed it. And hopefully that gives a warning to other people. Don't fuck around.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
And boy, that squeak is really painful.
Dude, honestly, man, that's just the case sometimes with cheap bodies that are used. Because I just sold the CC Toys clicker, and he sounded like that too, and that's just how he always sounded because they used a really cheap body. So I mean, look, with the first batch, I did not hear that complaint, so I don't know why this is happening now. But I will say, Kit got Brandon a replacement, so Kit and Mars Toys are on it. Got to give them credit for making things right. So that is something that needs to be noted for sure. So yeah. I think it's pretty cool that they're making things right by people, and doesn't seem to be a super widespread issue, but it is something worth noting and monitoring. Sometimes maybe we put a little bit trust in sort of propping some of these companies, but we need to be a little bit skeptical from time to time as well. We all do this. So anyway, Guys, let us know your thoughts on the Mars Toys Joker Batch 2 issue. Is there any sort of takeaway that you have? Is there anything of note or, but I still think Mars Toys does some great work. I'm excited to see what they do with Last of Us. And they have that Breaking Bad Gus figure that they're working on. Got to give them a lot of credit for that. That one, they said they weren't happy with how the glasses were turning out and how things were looking. So they went back to the drawing board and they're redoing a lot of it. So look, they're dedicated and they've shown people that they'll fix these issues. So got to give them credit with that. So anyway, Kiko, I got to ask you some other questions. Actually, no, we got a super chat real quick, and then we'll move on to that. I always forget sometimes. So guys, I'm so sorry. My apologies. Batman Collectibles, thank you so much, bro. He said, I've been eyeballing the Batman XE suit for a while, but would never cave. Bought it for $200 total. See? That's my point, man. If you're willing to be patient, you can get almost any hot toy for cheaper. Like, besides maybe the super grails like Darkseid Anakin or Yondu. But short of that, especially ones that have been released nowadays, man, it's just easy to get them for cheaper. Like, I'm not surprised you got this for cheap because these deals are out there. These deals are certainly.
And the XE suit is an incredible figure.
It's a big boy.
Yep.
It's a big boy. But thank you so much, Batman Collectibles, bro. Thanks for sharing that story and that situation, which we will talk more about this in a sec. We'll get to some more of this general topic, but